everyone. My name's Stephanie Weber.
And I'm John Scuras.
Welcome to the Show Me How podcast. We're so glad that you could join us. Today is a really exciting episode. It may not sound really exciting, but it could save you a lot of money if you really know the ins and outs of it.
Yeah, it'll expedite your buying and selling process for a home.
Right. Roofs, rates, and real estate.
That's right.
That's the new things that's affecting not only buyers, but sellers, agents. There's a lot of information out there about roofs that has really changed in the market over the past, I would say, 5 years. Right?
Yeah. Basically, things are changing and altering around the insurance real estate, related to real estate market. And so we're going to try and help buyers and sellers understand how roofing regulations and rising insurance costs and premiums are impacting deals, because they will derail a deal. So, we're going to introduce some powerful new platform that's also helping fight back against insurance companies. Now, who's this target audience for this?
This is for, really, I think it's for a lot of people, but it's definitely for buyers and sellers, agents. I think agents need to be aware of what the regulations are in the market too.
Sure. And
just anyone who is dealing with any kind of real estate deal that includes a roof, even if
not a condo, such
Well, it could affect a condo. If you're going to reinsure a condo and your roof's 17 years old, they may not take it. So when you're shopping around for new rates, things like that, I think the roof is just a thing that is really transcended into a new place and is affecting people on all aspects.
Yeah, well, it's been there have been scams going on with roofing for many, many years. I know every time there's a hail storm or something like that, people show up saying, "We can get you a new roof."
Right.
So I think that's finally come back to haunt us all. But at the same time, insurance companies haven't been playing fair ball, which we'll talk about a little later.
Right.
And so this topic is going to cover commercial real estate at some level. Obviously, roofs are going to be important for every structure. Homeowners, residential. We'll have an insurance icon located near this topic. Trends icon, veterans, because we're going to talk a little bit about veteran multifamily, which we owed an answer to Mike about from a couple episodes ago.
We did.
And about advocacy and being advocates for property owners.
Exactly. And you've heard the phrase, raise the roof. Well, these days, insurance companies are more likely to raise your premiums.
That's right. They're raising them, and not by a little either. But more importantly, not just are they raising them, but they're causing more kind of havoc with it, right?
Right.
So whether you're buying your first home or trying to sell your current one, this episode will help you between the difference of getting a deal closed or having a long, drawn-out closing process, or even losing a deal.
Exactly. Because sometimes the insurance will say, we're not going to insure that property based on the age of the roof. So it's really important. You can't just stick your head in the sand anymore and say, oh, it's about 5 years old, 7 years old. You really got to know your stuff now.
Yeah, have receipts, this, and we'll go into that a little bit. All that stuff's going to be important. Yeah. So we're going to talk about roofing standards, what's changed.
Exactly.
How insurance hikes are reshaping the market a little bit. And not just insurance hikes, but refusal. Right? So that's going to be impacting your buying and selling environment and what strategies you should use to make sure it doesn't happen to you.
Exactly.
And then we have this bonus component about how veterans and VA loans can be used for multifamily. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And then a sneak peek into a consumer rights movement that I'm involved with around helping shake up the insurance industry through what we call public adjustment and having adjusters that work for you rather than the insurance companies.
Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about the roof over your head can suddenly be a deal breaker. Why is that, John?
Well, after years of storm damage and payouts, the insurance companies are getting fed up and they're starting to shut people down. So they're looking much more closely at the age of a roof on potential sale of a house or purchase of a house.
Right.
So what was happening was these quote-unquote gypsy groups are running around whenever there's a storm, and they're coming up to everyone's house saying that they'll, fix their roof, or they'll go look at it and they'll get a full claim for a new roof on it.
Exactly.
So that's really kind of changed the landscape. And then in Florida, nowadays, they've come up with some really high standards pre-2002, building codes that are basically now what they call the gold standard for roofing specifically. They're the gold standard for a lot of things because there's a lot of hurricanes there, right? But hurricane windows don't apply necessarily in all markets, obviously.
No, but there are, like, even the house I had in Florida, there was a wind mitigation test that you had to have on your roof, so it could withstand a certain amount of
we're talking about
wind
roofs,
force and
not
things like that.
Windows, like hurricane windows and things like that.
Right.
Don't apply, but a roof could apply, right?
Exactly.
So metal roofs, impact-resistant shingles are becoming the new normal.
Right.
Also, when you, in the past, I don't even ask how old the roof was when I bought my multifamily, but nowadays you need to know. You need to find out. You'll have an inspection most likely. Sometimes they'll push you on it, sometimes they won't. So knowing that, used to be that your grandma's roof was vintage wood, right? Nowadays, the insurance company's like, sorry, that's a risk. We're not going to insure that. Right?
Exactly.
So it used to be cool is now no longer a selling
No, and it used
benefit.
to be okay that it wasn't leaking. That was also made a standard, like, oh, well, it doesn't leak. So, people would be like, oh, the roof's fine. It doesn't leak. It looks good. But there's 47 layers underneath it. So you have to kind of be your own advocate for that.
Right.
And your real estate agent really should be the one to be pushing the other agent, the selling agent, if you're with the buyer agent, to get the information regarding the roof. Or, spend the extra money and get a roof inspection because it will make a difference.
Yeah. And another topic on the, segment of this is the insurance premium spikes.
Oh, God, yeah. They're awesome.
So, but this isn't only related to roofing, but there is a big component of that that's roofing related. So there have been issues in Congress, specifically Senator Josh Halsey of Missouri has been fighting with the insurance companies recently. He's been holding committee hearings with the Department of Homeland Security on government affairs, which is an interesting committee to go into. I find the Homeland Security, interesting. But back in 2023 and 2024, he started holding these committee hearings because there are a lot of, he's from Missouri, and there's a lot of tornado damage down there.
Exactly.
So, and then he started seeing patterns, and people are calling into his office, apparently, and he's hearing stories about his constituents not getting their pay back on their repairs from the insurance companies. So he spearheaded a Senate hearing targeting major insurers like Allstate and State Farm. And just recently, on May 14th, he had an He had a committee hearing meeting that was focused on interviewing people that went through a loss. There were two families that I recollect.
Right.
And there were Allstate and specifically State Farm. There's obviously other insurance companies other than these two, but these are the behemoths in the market that participated. And I'll tell you what, it was very eye-opening. And by the way, it's in YouTube, so look it up, May 14th, 2025. Listen to it, and I think your eyes will be enlightened too. So I'll just give two anecdotes. So one was about a family who had, I think it was a tornado damage, and I think both families are from Missouri, and a tree fell down and damaged their house and was estimated at $480,000 in damage.
Wow.
And the insurance company only offered them $48,000.
And why would they do that?
Well, because what do you mean? They don't want to pay. I mean, they've been doing this for 20 years.
Right.
So we've had hearings about this years ago, and Halsey calls it out in the committee hearing, and he says, look, this happened 20 years ago. It's happening again today. Basically, the story goes that they got consultants. I don't remember which consulting group came in, but one of the big, huge consulting companies came in and gave them advice that they should deny, delay, depose, and defund these insurance claims. And as we all know, we just had a terrible incident where somebody had killed the executive of a CE insurance company.
Right.
That's health insurance, but still the same strategy applies to both these.
Right. I think they're,
industries.
denying and delaying and defunding is an insurance across the board, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. they're also doing other bad things. So there's whistleblowers that came out and they testified, and basically saying that they were trained to reduce and minimize the payouts, but also delay settlements. And finally, if they didn't do it, they were being pulled off of the case and even not hired any longer.
Wow.
So their income, and as a matter of fact, they found out during the hearing, pardon me, that I think at least one of these adjusters was blackballed, and they'll no longer work with him.
Because he wouldn't do that.
Because he would not do that, yes. He was told to reduce, and I've heard numerous stories about this behavior too. So really what's happening is these insurance companies are putting profit over people. They're making billions of dollars. Now, just because there was fraud on the roofing front doesn't mean they have to go, ballistic and impact everybody's sale or purchase of a house.
Exactly.
But they're getting away with it right now, and they're trying to, again, put profit over people.
Exactly.
There's a little bit of fraud in there too, but not every adjuster is fraudulent. This is not.
No, and I think
accurate.
that these hearings didn't just expose the wrongdoing, but it certainly what homeowners suspected for decades. I mean, there's people that have paid their premiums for 20 years and never had a claim. So it's really important that we look at this and the rising premiums and what you're getting for that, right? And in the real estate end of it, I've seen it on the residential side in the past, month and a half, especially. Deals fall apart because of roofs. So. Yeah.
No, and the public narrative is shifting. So homeowners are demanding protection, not just from storms, but they're also demanding it from the insurance companies themselves.
Right.
So, now's a prime time to focus on this and become active in your industry, in your region, when you can, to tell your aldermen and your congresspeople that you really want support.
Right, and you want someone to be advocating for you. And how can they do that?
Well, so there's a company I'm focused on building actually called Claim Advocates. Claim Night and Client Advocates. Client Advocates is the parent company, and we're going to have separate divisions. Claim Night's the first one we're going to do. It's basically a company that focuses on public adjusting, which is when you have a property loss, whether it's a commercial or a residential loss.
Right.
You can have an insurance adjuster work for you. So that's what we're trained to do mostly, right? When you have a car accident, what do they tell you to do? Call the insurance company right away, right? First thing you do. Well, a public adjuster works for you, and an insurance adjuster works for the insurance company. So they're incented, as we've just exposed, and Senator Hawley really exposed, to lower those payouts and to delay those payouts. So working with a public adjuster is somebody that advocates for you, hence the name Client Advocates. So you want somebody just like a broker who's your advocate when you're buying and selling a home or a condo or a business property. You want somebody advocating for you, and that's what we're going to focus on. So I'll tell you more about it when we get into the
we can talk more about it. But are they? If anyone uses a public adjuster instead of the one they're represented through their insurance company, is there any ramifications to them for using you?
Yeah, no, we'll talk about it when we get to the next section.
So one of the big things we want to make sure that buyers are aware of is, we put together a checklist just so you can kind of always be ahead of before you fall in love with this beautiful house and everything else. And I know it's emotional, and but
you're getting people to spend their time, their effort, their thoughts, talking to banks about potentially putting in offers, profiling a property, if you will.
Right.
I like to think of it as that you're kind of building a profile. Is this the home we want? Does it have the yard we want? Does it have, the curb appeal? Does it have
the
closeness to the school you want? You also need to think about some of these other components now that could derail your deal, right?
Exactly.
Like the roof, right?
Yeah.
So calling that out up front is important. Always get an insurance quote before you submit an offer. Ask your agent or the seller's agent for documentation on the roof when it was last replaced, if it's available. If not, you're going to have to do an inspection, right?
Exactly. And it's worth a couple $100 to do the inspection if it's going to, A, kill the deal, or if you need to ask for a credit at the closing for a new roof, you need to know that ahead of time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you need insurance to close, don't skip the inspection.
Not at all.
You want to get that done right up front.
And most people, if you're getting a loan, you need insurance to close.
Everybody. I mean, you'd be crazy. Even if you're buying with cash, you want to have insurance coverage. I
exactly.
think. So now we're getting into
some seller tips.
So, on the buying side, you're going to be at the whim of the seller's broker.
Right.
But on your side, if you're selling your own place, here's some recommendations for you. So basically, get a pre-listing roof inspection if you don't already have documentation. I wouldn't say waste any money. Nowadays with technology, you can zoom in and look at your roof pretty well, see if it's okay. I have a flat roof and I have access. I would go up and look at it myself.
Right.
I don't think you always need to get an inspection, but if you see something that doesn't look right, then it might make sense.
Right.
And call in a roof. Now, roofing companies don't always want to come out and do an appraisal for you. So that's why I'm suggesting first start out, do it yourself. If it looks like there might need to be work done, just count on the fact that that's going to happen. And
right.
Don't wait until the last moment because, a roofer might not be able to come out for 2 or 3 weeks. You're about to close. Now you got to wait for this roofer to show up or call 3 or 4 or 5 roofers to get somebody that will finally come out. So get it done in advance. Another thing, though,
you can't, in general, if you're going to have any repairs done, you need to have it by a licensed roofer for the
insured
or insurance.
Insured roofer, you don't.
Yeah, so licensing. Don't think that you can just go up and slap on some tar and fix it. So
no, you absolutely could do DIY repairs. Let's not rule that out. Don't do a sloppy job. If you're going to do it respectfully. We absolutely do not need you to use contractors to do this stuff, but make sure you do it respectfully, do it correctly, and even if you do it, I've done many repairs myself that don't come out great, and they may say they want a professional to come in, so you could try and repair it yourself,
right,
and save some money. But roofing is also dangerous. You're on the roof, right. I have a flat roof; it's a little bit easier, but try and repair it yourself.
You could take a tumble. Is that what you're saying?
You could on an angled roof. I would be very careful. I wouldn't try and repair an angled roof.
No, I wouldn't either.
But the best thing is just provide documentation, right?
Exactly.
If you have eligibility, save all your receipts on any repairs you do in general for a house.
Right.
And then disclose roofing upgrades in your listing description because we know now.
Right.
People are going to be interested in knowing that. And if you put it out there proactively, it's like one thing the buyer doesn't have to worry about, right?
Exactly. And you talk about the furnace, you talk about the air conditioner, you talk about other things, appliances, include your roof in that. If you just had your roof replaced 2 years ago, you're golden. Yeah. It's like that's a selling point more than anything right now.
Yeah. Any repairs, any recent bathroom upgrade, all that stuff you want to talk about.
Right.
And a $12,000 roof upgrade could end up leaving you in a situation where you got a bidding war because people are getting shut down on other properties.
Exactly.
And you end up making $30,000 off that $12,000 investment. So you got to look at it as a potential investment. If you do need to do the work, get it done proactively, add it as a feature and a benefit to purchasing your house over the competitive houses in the market.
Just as a funny side note of that, so we have a listing at our group right now, and it's a condo on the North Shore. Nice building, beautiful. The appliances don't match.
Yeah.
So instead
are they 60s?
No, so there's
blue or yellow or something.
There's white, but there's a stainless steel refrigerator. That's beautiful. They
don't match. I thought you meant they didn't match the house.
They don't
all
match.
Different appliances.
So
that drives me nuts.
Instead of going to Apt and getting the stove, the microwave, and the dishwasher. Right. They decided to drop the price by $26,000, and I'm just perplexed. And I'm telling you guys,
what kind of appliances are these? $26,000.
They just didn't want to replace the appliances.
But what are the appliances? What are they, like high end wool?
No.
No, that's just foolishness. We would never let you do that.
No. Replace the appliances, make it uniform.
$4,000 in appliances.
Even redoing the cabinets is a couple $1,000.
But you know what? Look for those people out there too. I love those people when they show up when I'm working with the customer.
So it's an interesting. I just wanted to throw that one out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. All right, now I'll get into the Client Advocates company. So basically what we're trying to do is disrupt big insurance using the company who's going to focus on public adjusting, Claim Night. So it's basically a customer advocate for a consumer-first platform designed to hold the insurance companies to account for these claims. The Claim Night division was basically born out of the chaos that occurs when there's a big tragedy and all these vendors funnel into a particular area during a hurricane, disasters, rising deductibles, record levels of unpaid claims are coming through. And a friend of mine's a public adjuster, and he came to another friend and said, I'd really like to do like a call center environment and educate the public on what a public adjuster is. So my friend brought me in and we sat down and talked, and I was like, oh, it's very interesting. And, I come out of corporate America. I worked with the Fortune 100, and I worked in software, with companies that ended up creating the methodologies and business processes that are part of Salesforce.com. I worked in negotiation, in strategy, in sales, a lot of different industries. And I saw this idea and I started thinking about it, researching it, spending hundreds of hours going through websites, reading documentation. And I realized this industry is very nascent in technology. They're not using it. It's a very small market penetration. So on average, I think there's 4 to 6% of the people in the United States as a whole know what a public adjuster is.
Right. I didn't know.
No, most people don't.
Right.
And so typically in the time of need when customers, when we're talking residential, but businesses too, I could tell you business deals.
Yeah, because there's, during a hurricane or something, businesses get wiped out.
There's a specific, a fire on the south side, this trucking company, a repair company, and their whole place burned. The whole thing burned. Like 85% of all their buildings burned, and their whole livelihood was gone. So they hired a public adjuster to come in and work with them. And basically, it's your advocate to help you against insurance companies. Insurance companies are trying to, undermine. In the case of the Hawley hearings, it's $48,000 offer and a $480,000 loss.
That's crazy.
It's 10 times the amount. So,
and also remind me what we talked about a little bit before the podcast. They wait and delay until you're desperate.
Depose, defund,
So you're desperate.
Yeah.
And they wave this check of $48,000 in front of you, and you have nothing. Remember that they do that on purpose.
Well, and that's what Claim Advocates, Claim Night, and Client Advocates will be doing for you. So Claim Night will be there to help you understand if you take that check and you endorse it and cash it, there's terms behind that, and they're not going to keep negotiating with you. So that's the end of the deal. So they're there to be your advocates. They're there to help you understand and basically organize an army to fight against these multi-billion-dollar companies of vetted contractors, public adjusters, estimators, legal experts, and even emergency financing potentially is going to be part of this deal.
That's awesome.
Also, concierge services. So somebody's house burns, right? It's their worst, scariest time. Let's say you have a family, you have kids in school, in the neighborhood, your house is burned, your car was in the garage, it burned, all your clothes burned. So what do? There's really no services out there. So
the Red Cross comes in to help in the immediate.
Well, I'm talking about an individual.
No, and then you're sitting there and you don't know what to do.
The Red Cross doesn't do these services. They may do some of them, but they aren't doing them to the level we're going to do them. No.
They're just there for the emergency, initial shock. Yeah. But then when they leave, what happens? And that's where your guys are going to come in.
Well, again, it's not just for a big tragedy. It's at somebody's house in the neighborhood burned down.
Right.
So the Claim Advocate, Claim Night adjuster comes out, and basically they help you get a hotel. They'll help you get a car. They'll help you, find, get your family all assembled together, get you safely out of the location if things are active.
Right.
So it's going to be very exciting, I think.
That's great.
We're going to have an automated process, intake and triage claims very quickly. We're going to have AI-powered forms, so when you call in, you can immediately tell us, this is the loss, our house is burned, it's total loss, we think. We're in this area, we have insurance covered by XYZ company, and we need to get representation to protect us. And then that'll document everything for you. We'll get it out to a public adjuster who will be able to come out and help you with your claim. We'll deploy those people that are needed there, whether it's estimator, an adjuster, or some of the other restoration groups. We're vetting these groups, restoration companies, contractors, concierge support. The hotels are going to be, extended stays potentially. So large corporations that are we're going to strike deals with so that we get you good rates. Car rentals, Uber, Lyft, etc., to cover the total loss.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, thanks in part to this bipartisan anger from all people that are insured going to Senator Halsey, we're now having a narrative shift, and the public is no longer blaming the storms. They're blaming the insurers for holding them, holding the money out before they can actually get their funds and, cover their losses and get to a hotel and be safe and secure.
Right. And that's why it's a game changer, right?
Yeah. Basically, this hasn't been done before. We're going to have technology filling the gaps, a centralized application, a client portal, which will be great. So as we're going through the claim process, people will be able to see how far along in the lifeline their claim is going through, where it is it, how long until they get a settlement. We have AI case tracking, which is going to help eliminate some of the friction of the claim process.
Right.
And
what happens now, like
referrals.
compared to what is going on now with the insurance company? You just call them, you'll get
you get an insurance adjuster instead of, a public adjuster who's working for you.
Right. No, but there's no way of tracking your claim, no way of...
Well, just verbal, they just tell you, here's what our next step is. It's very, paper-based process. Okay. It's not very straightforward. They don't have timelines. We're going to do our best to provide timelines. We're going to limit it based on government regulations about when a communication is expected. There's people that aren't hearing from their insurance companies for weeks after their home is burned down.
And they don't know what to do.
They don't know what to do. They find a public adjuster, hopefully. Again, only 4 to 6% of the people know about this. So we're going to do a big marketing campaign to get out there on social media, billboards, etc., to get the word out and educate people. Then we're going to do some videos also, YouTube videos and things like that people will be able to look up, and they'll explain to them, here's what the process is, here's why a public adjuster is your best way to go, here's how they'll help you, here's what the process is like, and here's how to get in touch with us.
That sounds
great. So it'll
be
very effective.
Yeah.
I think so. It'll take people out of fear when they're in a very stressful time in their life.
Right.
It'll give them some hope and some direction and calm them down and some security.
And you'll be able to do a referral list for them too, or
of course. We're going to have, so we plan on doing a certification process for not only our public adjusters that work for Claim Night, but also estimators, contractors, restoration contractors, architects, lawyers, all sorts of services will help provide for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
And where can we learn more about this?
We're going to have our website up in the next few months, and we'll send you information there, but also provide you with some tools with our core information on it attached to our website and to this episode's tool.
Yeah, the Show Me How podcast website will have the Claim Night PDF form, so as it rolls out, we'll also how you can apply to be a contractor or adjuster on onboarding and investors in partnership in this, because they will be a big supporter of the Show Me How podcast. We'll be getting information out to the public.
And we'll have a public adjuster on the show.
For sure.
I took the class, but I haven't gone in the field yet or done anything. But I can tell you, it's good to have a public adjuster out there. They're looking out. I went into meetings, saw the insurance company's representatives, met with them, met with attorneys who were representing the insurance company, met with the victims of the loss, etc. Went through the whole interview process.
And they are victims. They really are.
Yeah, of course. They're called victims.
Right.
So, anyway, that's coming up.
It's all exciting.
Yep.
We're all about showing you how to do things better.
That's right.
Right? That's the Show Me How podcast.
That's right.
John's like half dead on this podcast.
I love that name.
Show Me How.
Show Me How.
Okay. We're doing our speed round of questions and answers.
All right. So, can I use a VA loan again after selling my first property, Stephanie?
Yes, you're entitled, and once the original loan has been paid off, you can use it again.
You can. Okay, cool. And what about if I am buying a house and my spouse is not a veteran?
You can still buy, but only the veteran is entitled to apply for the loan unless the co-borrower is a VA eligible veteran as well.
Okay, so they split the loan, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, also, we wanted to talk about the VA loan for multifamily. We did verify that you can get a VA loan for a multifamily. However, you have to have been a
manager,
a property owner previously in the past.
Right.
So if you were, then they will loan you money on a multifamily, but only up to 4 units.
Right.
So we'll put a little checklist together, and we'll have all the details on that. So look forward to it, veterans.
Which is exciting because...
Thank you again, veterans. And I hope everyone enjoyed that Army parade in D.C. on June 14th. I didn't see it, by the way. Did you? I saw little excerpts of it.
I saw some excerpts of it, yes.
It was
a show of force. How about that?
Show of force. Well, by the way, it was paid for by the previous administration. They're the ones that scheduled it. It's funny because everyone's like, oh, Trump's trying to be a fearmonger. It was done by the previous administration. It's crazy.
Yep.
It's goofy stuff.
Goofy stuff, and we try to make sure that you have the right information.
Yes.
And not just
mainstream media.
On social media.
That's right.
So what can we look forward to?
So we have a buyer and seller checklist, insurance checklist that's going to come out.
Yep.
A sample roof inspection form. Then we'll have the VA loan information for you as well. And we'll put those all on the website for you.
Right.
And then whether you're dealing with a bad roof or bad faith insurer, don't go it alone. Download the Claim Night Toolkit and learn how the Client Advocates is changing the game for homeowners and make big insurance finally pay their fair share.
Which is super exciting. We so appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
And we'll see you soon.
We'll see you soon. Take care from Show Me How Podcast.